Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this past week's trades in the weekly recap. Before I get into the recap, if you're not in the room, you can find the link in the description of the video and in my bio section of social media accounts. Also, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I did finish last week with 13 wins and 1 loss for a win rate of 92.86%. Definitely pleased about that. This past week was kind of tough to trade because SPY just kept going up and up and up and up, and VIX was going with it, and VIX was very, very low. So I was not interested in calls. I did take calls one of the days, but I will get to that when I get to that. So traded is on Monday, which was the 12th. I said I had puts all week long. 430.50, SPY puts on the 430.50, which is the 12th is right here. Okay, blow this up. Let me see where VIX is. I put VIX up this time so we know where VIX was. 12. VIX is at 15. I thought for sure we were going to get some action. Let's see. We had a run up on Friday. We had a sell off like midday, and then we just kept gapping up and gapping up. So I thought, okay, maybe this is the day we're finally going to break down. SPY just kept raging and raging and raging. So the first play I had was I took puts at 10:05, which was right here. I kind of waited out. So I wasn't interested in calls because I was still expecting SPY to at least have a bigger rug pull than what it's had. This was really nothing. It hasn't really had a rug pull at all since, let me pull up the daily. It's just been completely grinding up since this 430 area, and just keeps going and going and going. And VIX has been hovering $14 as this is grinding up. VIX hasn't been dropping, and when it has, it's been dropping to about 13.50. It hasn't really been dropping that much. In fact, some of the times it was rising with SPY. So, but yeah, I didn't take the calls here. It was not interesting in calls, so I waited and waited. So when I came back down here to lower day, that's where I grabbed the 4,300 puts at 560. I kind of grabbed them small just in case it decided to dump. It didn't decide to dump. It decided just to keep raging and doing something stupid, because SPY has been doing really ridiculous stuff for the last 2 weeks. So but no, it just chopped, then it just popped, and I just like, okay, whatever. And I just was not interested in buying calls because, like this said, at this time VIX was right around 1450 area, well, 1470 area, and I just wasn't too comfortable on going long at this particular time. So plus we had like a rollover, because Friday it was 1380. Then we had like a rollover because it was quarter witching, and the futures rolled over, and of course it gapped up. So that definitely helped SPY. Gave it more room to run because the VIX gapped up on the rollover. It just one of those manipulated things that ended up working out, and SPY just took advantage of it. So market makers. So it didn't do anything. I wasn't going to buy calls. I mean, you could have. Just because I don't do something doesn't mean you can't. You can't do it. You can do it if you want, but I'm in this for the long haul. I don't need to trade every day. I don't need to trade a lot. So if I don't like something, I don't feel comfortable about taking something, I'm not going to do it. And I'm not going to do it just for the room. So I'm going to do it because I like it. I'm not going to do it because the room needs plays, because that's not the way I work. And so I just sat and waited and waited and waited and waited, and it just, I mean, I think I was looking right around here. I didn't take anything. Then of course it just rages up. Then it just pops huge right here. Then I decided to jump in front of it right at let's see, at 347, which is right here, right, because you have this big wick right here. Then it pushed back up to higher day, and it went to higher day even more. No, right here is where I took it, right? right there, yeah, right here. Right when it made new higher day, this is where I grabbed it. I grabbed the 43.40 puts at 4:30, and they went from 4:30 to 5:40. Not much of a play. Um, this just we had CPI the next day, Tuesday morning. There was no fear whatsoever about inflation, and VIX was just VIX was this the day VIX was running. Yeah, I mean look at this from 11:30 right here, right when this popped, VIX ran with it. That's why I did not like taking puts. VIX does not run with SPY. When VIX and SPY are running together, that's not a good sign. So it's another reason why I didn't want to touch it. But I was also thinking that we're going to have some last minute fear of inflation numbers, especially over this ridiculous run right here going into close. But no, it didn't even. It kept going and going and going, and just this was just so stupid. But yeah, let's see. VIX got dumped right here, and this was CPI number it dumped, and it popped back up, and it was just complete madness this entire week. So yeah, I finished Monday 1-1. So Tuesday I didn't trade much. Tuesday I said what SPY puts under 434, which was right here, this low. The numbers weren't even that good. The CPI numbers weren't even that good. What were the numbers? Yeah, 0.01 point in year over year is 0.40. I mean, I don't really trust any inflation numbers the government puts out anyways, because they have an agenda. But I just didn't trust it, in the market just doesn't care about anything. So so never went to 434. It popped more, made new higher day at open, wasn't touching calls. I waited, and when it got down here, I took puts right here at 10:09. Same thing, it happened right over here, but this time it actually fell through a little bit. I took the 43.50 puts at 7:40, and then went from 7:40 to 10:60. So this time it opened up, it made new lower day, and the floor opened up, and it gave us a good play. But it got bought quickly and came back up to higher day. Just really ridiculous. VIX right around the 1450 area, making new higher day. Wasn't interested. I took puts at let's see, 227. I mean, I could have taken it here, but I mean, SPY has been so ridiculous. I didn't want to buy puts at the higher day. I mean, you think that it's not going to go anymore, and it just keeps going. So I just didn't want to grab puts at higher day, because it seemed way too risky. If I did it, I would have paid off there, and I could have got a little play right there. But I kind of just waited, and we get all these candles right here. You get the body here, and the bottom of these candles right here. So when it broke below, didn't grab it there. I grabbed it at 227. I thought I grabbed it right up here. Maybe I didn't. I grabbed it at 227, so I grabbed it right here. I must have grabbed it when it went underneath 436.20, right when I went through the VWAP. That's where I grabbed it. Yeah, I think that's where I grabbed it. I grabbed the 43.70 puts at 740, and they went from 740 to $10, and it got back up right near lower day. Got bought back up, stayed in a narrow channel. I mean, the $2 channel. So not much of a range day. Then we had FOMC on Wednesday, which was kind of surprising, because usually when Powell is speaking on FOMC days, you get like a huge spread. You have to play like a 100-point spread, and I think I played pretty closely. Well, it's a 50-point spread right there, but still, I'm always only paying $5 or $6 per contract, considering that I've played a 100-point spread and had to pay $8 to $9 per contract, and it's just the IV wasn't really that much, considering. So traded his room on I didn't put anything out on FOMC today. I don't usually, because sometimes I just sit on the sidelines and don't do anything. because IV's too expensive when Powell's speaking, and plus also that the real action is FOMC, and if I trade in the morning and I take a couple losses, I'll be very hesitant about playing FOMC. So that's why I sit out the morning. Whenever there's FOMC day, just take the morning off. Go have breakfast. Go for a walk. Go do something. Spend time with your family or something, and just chill for the morning, and come back around 1 o'clock and get ready for FOMC for a crazy last 2 or 3 hours and play that. But I did take a play at 12:38, which was right here. 12:38. No, it was this one right here. 12:38. Right here. Yeah, I grabbed it right here. Head and shoulders. You get the left, you get the head, and you get the right shoulder. I took it right here, right below the 437.85. I think I took it. I took the 43.60 puts to 730, and it popped up a little bit. Then it slammed, and it went from 730 to 1020. So that was a good little play. Then I took the FOMC play. I took the 43.50 puts at 670, and I took the 4400 calls at 540. And right when the FOMC announced those 43.50 puts I had at 670, they went from 670 to 2130, so they went 200% in a flash. And then the 4100 calls I had at 540, I ended up cutting at $1.70. Even if I held, they never went green. So I think the highest they went was like $2 or $3. So if I remember correctly, I could be wrong, but the puts was a huge winner. So that played out really, really well. Then I took puts at again at 318, which is right here. So you can see you get this big green candle. You get the FU candle right here. I could have taken calls, but for some reason I didn't think that we were gonna have a massive rally like that, because FOMC didn't raise rates, but they said more rates were coming, and SPY didn't care whatsoever. Usually, whenever they threaten rate hikes, the market goes completely panic mode, and right straight from the horse's mouth, Powell said that we're going to have 2 more rate hikes this year, and the market just didn't care. It dumped and just rebounded. Didn't act like nothing happened, like Powell was lying or didn't believe him or something crazy. That was just the stupidest thing I've ever seen. So I would have never taken calls off that, because to me it was not rally worthy whatsoever. But yeah, it did. So when it had the FU set up, it popped more right there. But when it came back down and broke below this 436.40 area, that's where I grabbed the 43.60 puts at 570, and they went from 570 to $8. So that ended up being a good little play. Just a V rally. This is what SPY's been doing for the last couple of weeks. Anytime it has any sell-off whatsoever, even this has been a pretty big sell-off. This was like a close to $4 sell-off, that it V rallies almost every single time. Now, I'm not saying go and every time there's a huge dump to go grab calls and re-rally, because in one of these times it's not going to rally. It's just going to dump. To me, I think the market makers are conditioning everybody to keep buying the dip, and one of these times it sells off. They're not going to save it. It's going to dump, and everyone's going to get wiped out. So I always think about this, that the market makers are in this to take your money. They want your money. They want to fool you and trick you and trap you. That's the name of their game. And the more they condition you to get used to doing something, that's when they really give you the big middle finger. So be aware of that, because it's going to happen. I thought it was going to happen last week. I mean, we had so many things that were coming up that just should have made the market dump, and the market just, between FOMC and PPI, CPI, other news, is just nothing. The market's not flinching for anything. It's just really, really, really stupid and very, very annoying to play. And let's see, trade ideas room on the 15th, I said SPY puts under 435.50. I know, under 435, which was right here. This was when PPI dropped, I think. Let me just double check. Wednesday or Thursday. Retail sales. Yep, retail sales was the other one I thought was going to happen. PPI was Wednesday. I didn't even flinch on PPI. Didn't even care. But anyways, I was looking puts at under 435, but I was also kind of like, okay, this is the first time I think it's opened red all week long, or it's actually gapped down. So it's like, okay, I'll bite this time. So because other times it's been gapping up and just ripping as it opens, and I don't like VIX being really low and the market just gapping up and continuing just to keep going. But because it opened red, I was kind of skeptical about grabbing calls, but I was a little more open-minded to it because we opened red and gapped down a little bit. So once the first 2-minute candle formed, green, I took calls over it. I took the 43.75 calls over high a day, which was 437.15ish, and I got the 43.75 calls at 8:40, and they went from 8:40 to 24.10 if he held all the way through, which was a crazy move. Just kept going and going and going. And then I took puts right right at 10:32, right here. We got this ridiculous run. So I was like, okay, what day is that? The 15th right here? The 15th. What's the time on this? 10:30, what was it doing? Yeah, right here. It was at near high a day. But anyways, we had this ridiculous push. It had a little bit of red candle right there. It started to break high a day a little bit. Then it came back down. So once it broke below these candle bodies right here, the 438.90, that's where I grabbed puts. I grabbed the 43.85 puts at $7, and then went from $7 to $8.60. Not much of a move. It held VWAP and bounced more. Just kept going. And I was not interested in calls anymore. I just didn't want to take them, especially after this pop right here. And also after Powell saying we're going to have 2 rate hikes. The market is still in I don't care mode. And just ripped more, consolidated more. I was looking at puts right here. I didn't touch it. I just waited, and it ripped more. So it just kept going and going. Just so ridiculous. What to go from what, 436, an $8 run after Powell said we're having more rate hikes. I mean, that is the biggest middle finger I think I've ever seen from the market. Because when you hear the rate hikes, everyone's going to think bearish. Everyone's going to think we're going to dump. And they just ripped it on everybody instead and just wiped out all the puts. It's so ridiculous that this is a prime example where the market makers just love to fool people and take advantage of people. People probably loaded up puts right after that announcement from Powell, and they just decided to rip it up. And they'll probably dump it this week now that everyone's on not in puts anymore. So, yeah, because I think that Friday was monthly expiration too, quad witching, so that's where they have the most volume on contracts and open interest on the monthly expiration, especially big hedge companies, hedge funds, and market makers and stuff like that. They're going to have more skin in the game on the monthlies than they are the weeklies or the dailies. So retail usually plays a lot of the expiration days, the gamblers, but we're not gambling when statistics are on your side. So I never look at trading as gambling. It's all about statistics, probabilities. So if anyone that thinks that trading is gambling is kind of stupid, so I don't think it is. But anyways, let's see, I took puts right here, got that. The last one I took puts at 320. I think I jumped right in front of this. 320 right here. No, I grabbed it down here. For some reason I thought I grabbed it up here. It might have been Friday I did that. I don't know. I remember one of the days I jumped right in front of the large pop, but maybe I waited here. But it says I got it at 320, which was right here. I got the red candle. It didn't break high a day right there. It came back down once it broke below the 432.80 area. I grabbed the 44.30 puts at 450, and then went from 450 to 810 on that. So that ended up being a good play. It did have a little bit of a dump end of day, not much. And then on Friday, this was a day that was really crazy because the SPY was dropping and VIX was dropping. So, but anyways, 16th traded his room. SPY puts on a 441, which is right here. right in this area, this pivot. You can see resistance. The candles right here. So first 10-minute candle was red. I grabbed puts on new lower day. 44.25 puts at $8. And it went from $8 to $12 on that dump right there. Then it popped back up. Didn't really go to high day. It didn't even go to PDC. It just it tried to go green, but it didn't, and got got shut down. So I took puts at, I didn't take puts right here. I took it at 11, so right here, 11.06. So I grabbed it right here, I think, yeah. As I tried to get down to low day, and it came back up to VWAP, then it came quickly back down to the 441.20 area, and that's where I grabbed it. I grabbed the 425 puts at $7. It popped a little bit, but it stayed underneath this low. Then it dumped, and they went from $7 to 10.80 right there. So that ended up being a good play. Then it popped again, tried to go green. It didn't quite get there. The 442.40 area kind of rejected. So I grabbed puts at 203, which was right here. No, right here. No, 203. Right here. I know I grabbed it right there. I could have grabbed it. Could have waited down here. Probably was afraid that it would bounce at lower day. So I grabbed it right here. I can see why I would have done that. Because you get the candles right here at 441, and I grabbed it right here. So I grabbed the 44.30 puts at 680, and then went from 680 to 1060 in that dump right there. Then I grabbed calls at the end of the day at 331. 331 right here. I grabbed, let's see, I grabbed calls, 444, the 44.15 calls at 331, which was right here, right over the, I probably grabbed it over this 440 area. Yeah, 440 area is where I probably grabbed it. They went from 450 to 680 right there, thinking we're going to have an end of the day pop. Because quad witching, sometimes we have a violent move, and because we were selling off in the close, usually the opposite happens when there's quad witching. But we haven't had a quad witching move in years because it's only 4 times a year we have them, and we haven't had a big mover or any movement on quad witching in years. So I thought, okay, because it's been such a long time, like the hot hand fallacy, the more times we don't have it happen, the more likely it's going to happen. And it didn't. I thought, okay, because we haven't had it happen in a couple of years, we were going to get something this time, and we get a little bit of a move, but not the huge moves we've seen in the past. Because we've seen moves where the last 10 minutes you see a $4 or $5 move, and we just haven't seen those moves in years. So that's it. So that was Friday. That was kind of not many trades the last couple of weeks. Just hasn't been much action, and I don't like trading calls when VIX is so low, and it's hard to take puts when SPY is raging, and I just not comfortable playing that way. We're probably going to see something soon. I don't know what will be to make the market dump, but we'll see. So that's going to do it for the recap. I hope this has helped. I know I probably got off track a little bit here and there, but it is what it is. It's unedited. So thanks for watching.